Now we're going to take a look at interpreting pictographs. A pictograph is a graph that uses pictures or symbols to represent more than one tally. The reason we're saying tally is because on the last one we realized that surveying means you have to collect data. So somebody collected the data on this. Also want to point out that a pictograph has the same symbol or picture that represents all of the data. They should also include a title, just like a bar graph. It gives you an idea of what the graph is about. So for this one, it is number of pencils sold. Should also include an axis label. So for this one, the axis labels are over here on the side, and they're Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so the days of the week. And finally, a pictograph should always include a key. It tells you what a symbol or a picture represents. You have to be careful because it doesn't always represent one. So for this one, it's 3 pencils. So on Monday, they didn't just sell 1 pencil, they actually sold 3 pencils. On Tuesday, you have 3 pencils, but I have to skip count by 3s in order to figure out the total number of pencils sold. So 3, 6, 9 pencils. And so on for Wednesday, so 3 and 6. So you have to pay very close attention to your key when looking at a pictograph. Now I'm going to take a look to see if I can interpret some data. Before I do that, I need to check out all of the parts of the pictograph. I can see that this is going to be about orange sales. That's what my title says. My axis labels are going to be months: January, February, March, April, May, and June. And then I'm going to take a look at my key. Each orange doesn't represent 1 orange, it represents 10 oranges. So a full orange is 10 oranges. So I'm going to have to skip count by 10s. Lastly, I want to take a look because this is something different that I didn't have on my other pictograph. Looking at this, I have half of an orange. So I have to think about, well, what would the value of that half be? When I'm thinking about halves, I'm really thinking of a doubles fact. So I'm going to have a doubles fact that represents 10. And the one that comes to mind is 5 plus 5, because that is half of 10. So when I see half of an orange, it represents not 10 oranges, but represents 5 oranges. So for May, it had 10, 20, and 5 more would be 25 oranges. My first question says, how many oranges did they sell in May? I just did that one. So 1 full orange, another full orange, and a half. Okay, so I know that this is 10, and 10 plus 10 is 20. And then we said that each one, this is half of 10, which is 5. So 25 oranges. In what month did they sell the least amount of oranges? So I'm really looking for which one doesn't have as many oranges as all the other ones. It's similar to a bar graph where it looks like you could look to see which one is the tallest would have the most, and the one that has the least would be the shortest. So I'm looking at it, and it looks like February has the least. It only had 10, and plus 5 would be 15. It only had 15 oranges. So February is the month that sold the least amount of oranges. And finally, my question says, how many more oranges did they sell in April than in February? So I'm going to take a look at April, and I need to figure out how many it had. So I'm going to skip count by 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, and 40 plus another 5 is 45. And then I have to look at February. So 10 plus a 5, so 10 plus 5 is 15. My question is asking how many more oranges did they sell? In order to find this out, I'm looking for the difference. So that means if I'm looking for a difference, I can subtract to find my answer. So I could do 45 minus 15. I could draw out base 10 blocks, or I could use another method that I feel comfortable with. But this time I'm actually going to look at what they have in common. So they each have a full one and a half of one. So this is how they have the similar right here. So here's the 15 from February. Now if I look at the leftovers, this is the difference between the two. So I have 10, 20, 30. There are 30 more oranges in April. Now it's going to be your turn to practice. Take a look at the pictograph. How many donuts were sold on Friday? Hopefully you chose 11 donuts. Remember that you have to pay close attention to the key. Each donut represents 2. So I'm going to skip count by 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then I have a half of 1. So that means that half of 2. So what doubles fact gives me 2? 1 plus 1. So half of 1 would be 1. Very similar to our bar graphs when you look between two different numbers. That's going to be the number that it represents. So 10 plus 1 is 11. How many more donuts were sold on Monday than Thursday? The answer is 4 donuts. You had to figure out how many were sold on Monday, 2, 4, 6, 8, and how many were sold on Thursday, 2, 4, and then find the difference. You could have subtracted 4 from 8 or 8 minus 4, or you could have looked to see what they have in common. So Thursday has 2 donuts, and the leftovers would be the difference. So 2, 4.